Rob, welcome to the gift this morning. It's
Hi,
a
Jeannie.
place, it's a place where we can explore people's gifts in a little bit more detail. And quite amazingly, Rob, you have written a piece of music called The Gift. So
Yes,
how about that?
yeah, it's quite amazing. When I read that you were going to be doing this,
Yeah,
my ears pricked up, and I thought, oh, I wrote a song called "The Gift." It was
amazing.
a while ago. I mean, it was just born out of a lovely gesture, really.
Yeah,
I mean, I've been having a go at writing instrumental music probably for the last, I guess, for, last 15 years, I suppose. But this song called "The Gift" was really, as I say, inspired by a really kind gesture. So it was I'm giving my age away now. I was 50 6 years ago. Um, and as a surprise on my 50th birthday, a guy that I just kind of got reacquainted with presented me with this amazing guitar on my 50th birthday, because I had a bit of a music bash, obviously being a bit of a musician. I know
yeah.
quite a few different people in bands and music and so forth, and yeah, totally out of the blue, he presented me with this guitar, and I say it inspired me to write a tune about the experience, really. And it's a great instrument. I mean, I've been using it, pretty much constantly, especially in church, and composing music at home. It was a nice guitar. So yeah, I mean, the gift was born out of that experience, really.
Wow. That's a really nice story, actually, Rob. That really is. I mean, it's wonderful to use a God gift talent, isn't it? And I'm wondering how good a person can get on a musical instrument. I mean, do you think a musician should start learning new styles and new techniques?
Gosh, an interesting thing when you start exploring questions like that. Really, I think, sort of going back to my own experience of learning to play something. You get inspired. You get inspired by listening to lots of people, lots of musicians, and you kind of have to make a choice. That's what really helped me. I made a choice about what musical style to actually pursue. I wanted to play, I suppose as a young kid, I wanted to play rock, rock style, but it wasn't until much later that I made a decision to sort of focus more on one particular style, and I think that's what gave me, I suppose, more of a musical identity. But in terms of get, in terms of getting good on an instrument, I think you never really get there. You know what I mean? You always aspire to be as good as you can.
Yeah,
But I think it's the old adage, really. I think with anything, the more time that you put into it, you do get the results, even if it's slow. But again, it's all about being happy with what you can do, happy with what if you can play a few chords and play a few tunes, that can be quite rewarding in itself, rather than being sort of a virtuoso. I mean, it's all down to what you're happy with at the end of the day. But practice is a good thing.
yeah, it's got to be. Otherwise, you would plateau out, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that's the thing. That absolutely. But it's good to have goals, and I think, again, down to my experience of lockdown, I've had a lot of time to sort of reevaluate things musically.
Yeah, that's
Obviously,
nice.
been playing in a church for years, and coming from that and not actually doing that, it gave me time to reevaluate the musical direction that I sort of wanted to go in. And I've got a bit of a heart for instrumental music. It's something that I think is it's just nice to be able to have it in the background, and somebody could probably maybe even just read the Bible, or just have it on in the room. It creates a bit of an atmosphere, that kind of thing.
It does, doesn't it? Because when you think about it, music is so beautiful. You know, most people like to listen to music, don't they? So when did you first start to play the guitar then, Rob?
Well, I think it was when I was about 14. So I think
Right.
I had my first guitar about 1980. I think I started playing properly, and I had lessons from a guy for about a year. But I think the breakthrough for me was being really, blessed in the fact that I started working in a music shop when I was 17, and I got so inspired by musicians that would come in, and as a young kid, you'd watch these players who are absolutely out of this world, and you think, wow, you think, I'd love to be like that. It's like with your Paul coming into the shop when when I was a bit younger. He absolutely blew me away with his playing, and players like John Elson and incredible musicians, and they've all had an impact on me. So I'm very grateful, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, being surrounded by musicians at that age was fantastic, really. Yeah.
Yeah, and you yourself, Rob, you really are a good musician. Now, I used to sing in a band called the Reapers. Nowadays, maybe we'd modern our name and call ourselves the Rappers.
Yeah.
And I can remember we sang at a gig one time, and when we were there, we were singing and playing instruments, and there was somebody on drums. And during the time we were singing a song, I can remember the drums fell apart on the platform, and they started to roll off the platform, and people come running up so that the drums didn't go off the stage. Now, have you got any funny stories like that? It was funny.
What is it with drummers? I tell
know.
you, I mean, our drummer, when we started off, when we were kids in a band, I mean, our drummer, he was a bit younger than us still, and he couldn't afford a lot. And he got some cymbals that he couldn't afford stands for,
Right.
so he suspended them with chains. And you'd hit the cymbal, and they would swing with the chains, bang into your arm. And what is it with drummers?
I know, that's funny, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I think there's been the odd moment where you get the odd clanger happen. I remember, I think it was at a rehearsal actually. That somebody had put a drum stool down on the stage, and I'd been standing up for quite a while, and I thought, I really could do with a sit down, and I didn't realise that somebody had actually moved the stool. So I sat down on this stool that was no longer there and crashed into the drum kit, sprawled on the floor. Oh dear.
It's funny when they happen.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably millions of funny stories about band incidences, I should say. But I think the other one that I remember, just before a gig, the bass player's amp packed up, and so we thought, oh, it's probably the fuse. So we were there with a screwdriver, poking where this fuse is supposed to be. The next thing I knew, the lead guitarist was flying across the stage because he'd got a big shock off the amp.
Wow, really? Wow.
It was all right, but don't mess with plugged in.
No, don't mess with plugs if you're listening to this.
No, absolutely. Oh God.
So Rob, I know that you compose a lot of your own music. So, I mean, how do you get that inspiration, and how do you start to arrange that music? How does it work for you, really?
I mean, firstly, I think you've got to have the inspiration, and I think that comes from listening. I was brought up in a house where there was a lot of different styles of music being played on records and stuff, like classical music and folk music and rock and roll, all sorts. So it's having a listening ear, and I think my ears were really tuned into acoustic guitar music, and I had that inspiration come from that. And I think listening to that style inspired me to have a go myself.
Yeah.
And I think you've got to have a bit of an arsenal of chords and a bit of knowledge about music, I think. But I think usually with me, I'll just be noodling. I'll noodle. I think a lot of musicians are like this, because I'm not very good with theory. I mean, I had a little go at theory. I understand some of it, but
Yeah.
I'm not really a musician as per se. Steeped in theory. I just kind of, I know a lot of chords, but I hear chords and I'll just be noodling around, and all of a sudden you get like something form, and you put your guitar down and pick it up again, and you might add something else. Some compositions take ages, and sometimes they don't really go anywhere, and you've got to kind of put them to one side, and you might revisit them. But it's, I mean, you hear a sound, and you just keep trying to form something, I guess. It's almost like sculpting something, I'd imagine, or you're starting to paint something. It's small beginnings, but it then takes shape over time, But I think first and foremost, you've got to have an inspiration from somewhere. I mean, musicians generally say that everything we play is probably somebody else's stuff to some degree, because you've heard that riff and you think, oh, that's this, and then you put your own take on it, and it's almost, you know what I mean, you take it somewhere else then.
That sounds really great, Rob. So you mentioned earlier to us that your friend bought you this lovely gift of a guitar, and you wrote a piece called The Gift. So would you play us out now with the instrumental The Gift?
Of course, that's fine. I'll just have to prepare.
That's great.
My leads. I've got.
That's fine. I am looking forward to hearing this, because I've not actually heard this piece of music. And can I say, Rob, you are such a blessing to us on Living Stones Church on the Internet with your beautiful music. It's very soothing.
That's very kind of you. Thank you, Jeannie.
It's really soothing. It's lovely, and people really do enjoy listening. So I'm looking forward to hearing The Gift.
Oh, thank you. I'm just going to turn the guitar on now and
okay,
give this a go.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Thank you. That was about half of it.
Absolutely beautiful. The
Thank you.
Gift.
A little snippet of it. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Thanks.
Thank you, Rob, for playing The Gift.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Bless you.